Today we're going to paint part 2 of Let's Paint Together. The first part was yesterday and you can see that on YouTube. All right, let's get started. This is part 2. We finished part 1, which you can see right here yesterday. Now we're going into part 2, which is going to be putting in the background and making final adjustments. And there are quite a few adjustments to make. Now the background I decided to break up into 2 parts, a dark part and a light part, even though that isn't represented in the photograph. So this is my design brain taking over. The dark that I put in underneath could have been a straight Viridian from the tube, but that would have been a mistake because it would have been too harsh. So what I do is I take Viridian and tip it a little bit with some alizarin crimson, and that grays it down. The other thing that I did for the lights is I brought in the color Aurelian, and I'm dropping some color spots of value of alizarin crimson. Now I can bring Aurelian in, even though I always say you can't bring a color in at the end of the painting you haven't used before. But I'm bringing it in because it's tampered down with quite a bit of Naples yellow, and I've used a lot of that in the painting so far. Now what happens in a painting once you do something, then you see everything changes context. And I thought my midtones weren't bright enough. This isn't going to change the value at all, putting in a second coat, but it is going to change the brightness. And I do have videos about brightness and dullness and darkness and lightness. Those are very different things. All right, now I've dried everything, and it's time to put in that dark area again. Only this time I've broken it up into Viridian. You can see Viridian, and then I drop in alizarin crimson next to it. Same kind of work I was doing before. But you see how it takes on a darkness that has more depth? And then I'm using colors that I've used in the background before and doing what they call, I forget what they call it, negative painting, but not serious negative painting. I'm not trying to find real forms. I'm just indicating that there are forms. Now, one of the problems with this painting as I look at it now is I made an island surrounded by oceans painting, which I always advise against doing. But I did it because my mind was on many other things. So when I go to frame this, I think I would probably crop it so that it wasn't an island surrounded by oceans. What I also did was put in, while that was zipping by so quickly, I put in a neutral. But, and originally I was going to broadcast this, call it broadcast, but I was going to show it in real time. But that ended up being a total of 12 minutes, and I don't have the upload capacity for that. So I thought I was done with it at this point, and it's pretty okay. I mean, the basics are okay. So you go away and you come back, and I realized, nope, I need to make those original darks need to be darker. So that's what I'm doing here. Plugging those in with 2 colors. I'm using a violet and also a reddish violet. These are, and occasionally adding something, suddenly there'll be a shape that I didn't see initially, and I'm adding that in as well. And also putting some alizarin crimson over that dark area in the bottom of bottom right-hand corner. It's really important that, for me anyway, that a painting of a flower look like it wasn't cut out and then glued on top of my background. I want to integrate it, and so dropping in that alizarin crimson in the background is really important. The other thing that's really important around here is if I futz around too much, I'm going to end up tightening up, and my flower is going to end up looking like it's made out of concrete or clay. Have you had that happen? I don't know what that phenomenon is, but it's as if everything gets more and more rigid the more you do. And I want to keep the spontaneity that I had in the first pass through when you saw the first video. So I really have to make myself stop. I mean, even in my head, I'm saying stop by now. The last thing that I'm doing is getting rid of any whites that I left. And these are pure whites because this is not a sunlit peony. So the lights come from the flower itself, and any white that I have is too bright when it's down below the lower part of the peony that I indicated as being dark. So I'm getting rid of that. Those are just final touches that you do, and you end up doing that after years and years of painting every day. I'm not so sure that I can articulate everything that I did here, because by this time I would have been painting for almost half an hour. I'm so in the left-hand side of my brain that language, I can't even apply language to what I was doing. So anyway, what went by there really quickly was the painting before final touches and the painting after. You can go back and look at that. So remember to keep the whites of your paper white, your paints wet, mass for value, mix for color. Please join my YouTube channel. If you have any questions, let me know, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.